let's talk white women here, shall we? Let's talk white women. White women, amazing your accomplishments over the last few years. I got to tell you, the way white women somehow hijack the woke movement, generals around the world should be analyzing this.
Bill Burr towed that line of what's acceptable like he always does. John, what'd you think?
I liked it. It's interesting to be able to contrast this with what Chris Rock did last week, which I felt was a lot more tepid and felt a little shakier as far as, how tightly crafted the jokes were. And even the subject matter just felt more heavy-handed last week. I like Bill Burr's ability. He does what Louis C.K. did when he came on SNL, and that's intentionally try and lose the audience so that when you actually get to the point, you kind of pull them back in because you say something that they're uneasy about and they're like, oh no, I can't get on board with this. I can't go down this path with you. And then he explains why he's saying such, inappropriate things. Like the point that he's trying to make is usually sort of something you can get on board with once he's done making it. But for the whole rest of the time, you're just sort of squirming in your seat. And I really enjoy that kind of comedy where they try and pull you down the road with them and see how far you'll come before you totally check out of it. And I felt that he did walk that line pretty good. I got a few solid laughs out of it. And by the end of it, I was glad that they pulled him in to do SNL because I felt like he did what he does. He didn't water it down so much that it felt like he was sort of beholden to higher powers to kind of do a milquetoast version of a stand-up. It felt pretty true to what he does. And I thought that he was smart too in the material that he touched on. He didn't go into some super risky territory. He just kind of knew what would work for an SNL audience. And I don't know, it worked for me. I thought it was pretty darn good.
Yeah. So I was, I was laughing more than I was not laughing.
Good.
So
well, that's a start.
I liked it, but I find that kind of like comedy and that whole approach to just be so needlessly exhausting. It's fun for like 2 jokes in a set. And then I'm like, can we not? I don't want to play this game with you. And so, but that said, I mean, Bill Burr, it really does it pretty masterfully. Sometimes I felt like he went a little too far in the monologue. I don't feel like he always saved it. Was
there any joke in particular where you're like, nope, I'm done with this one. I'll pick you back up on the next joke. Like where did you check out?
He lost me on gay pride versus being enslaved.
The month of June is Gay Pride Month. That's a little long, don't you think? For a group of people that were never enslaved.
But so this is perfect because this is exactly where I feel like it's kind of a masterclass in that let me say something that is so obviously wrong that I'm challenging people to check out and not be willing to hear the punchline. Because when he gets to the punchline, he's really just advocating for Black people to not even get like second fiddle to gay people. He's saying like, it's not about gay people not deserving their month of pride, but let's not leave the Black people with February, which everyone can agree is just the worst month ever. So if you're willing to go down that road with him, by the time you get to the punchline, you realize, oh yeah, it's not really like trashing gay people. He's just challenging you to be willing to wait for where he's going with it. And that to me is so much fun, but I totally get why you're squirming the whole way there.
Yeah. I mean, I got the joke, like, but the whole like February Black History Month thing, like that's not a very original joke.
No, but to use it as a way to really put people on edge of like, wait a minute, am I going to have to start booing this guy? Like I don't know. There's something a little bit fearless about doing that in Studio 8H.
Fearless is a good word for you. So I think this is going to kind of speak to my next thing, which is like the white woman joke, which when Michelle Wolf did it in her Netflix special, I loved it. Hilarious. Great content. Coming from a white dude that's just kind of mad at me for not taking as much of a fall as he is, it's not quite as good to me. And I know that's going to kind of get into this whole like, well, I can't say anything sort of debate, but that's just like not quite what it is. So like I think there's something to be said for maybe the gay pride joke coming from someone else. Like I don't think it was necessarily a terrible joke. Just like the white woman punchline was really good about like sit here with me and take it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that ultimately he won me back over. It was funny. It's what he does. But again, I don't know. I just find the whole thing so exhausting and tiring, and I just don't want to play the game.
Sure.
I guess that's ultimately what it comes down to.
Do we want to give Steve a chance to chime in before we?
Yeah. Do I have to raise
If we
my?
have to.
Do I have to raise my hand to get? Yes. You, Stephen. Oh, thank you. I think you are all doing just what Bill Burr wants you to do.
Sure.
This whole polarizing dialogue that's taking place right now. I'll just say it. You're letting Bill Burr win right now. You're letting him win. This is what he wants you to do.
But that's psychotic. Just saying.
Sure. But I mean, you're not wrong. I guess I got to get off social media because I was under the impression that you just would not be seeing this on television anymore at any time of day. Like, I just didn't think shows were going to go there anymore. And like, I get what John is saying. It makes you squirm until you get the point and you come back around and all that. But I just didn't think audiences these days had it in them to have that, okay, let's hear him out attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe that is the case. Like, obviously there are people taking to Twitter and whatnot to say that was in poor taste. And there are others that are not, it's pretty split down the middle. I feel like I should just, respect the bravery to go out there and say that, because you're going to get chewed out. Like, even if it's generally well received, there are going to be people that don't take this kind of humor well. And yeah, it's not for some, and other people enjoy it. And I am just intrigued by the fact that SNL is still willing to put that controversial material on air. Bill Burr has a very special talent, and yeah, you really got to be good at what you do to even attempt to do this and not look like a total pig.
Yeah. And I mean, and he is good at it. Like I said, I mean, he does it masterfully, and it's definitely a crafted thing that is, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. I definitely wouldn't be able to do it. So for that, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what he does, and he does it really well. It's just not necessarily for me.
Fair enough. My only other thought on the value of giving Bill Burr airtime on SNL is I feel like culture tends to sometimes swing a little too far in any one direction. Like, we've had eras where conservative values have been overbearing to the point where they stifle culture and create serious problems in society. And then things can swing, the pendulum can go to the other side, and it can go too far to the point where progressive ideals start to stifle culture and creativity and art. And it's
the left and the right take turns with cancel culture.
Sure. And it's often best when the pendulum is swinging and it's getting to one of those extremes that you have someone challenge people to ask themselves, is it really such a terrible thing for us to be able to goof on some of this stuff? Like, do we really have to take all of this so seriously and assume that it's something that needs to be offensive and something that needs to be divisive? Because ultimately what happens is when people invest in the ideas that there is so much separating us and so much, terrible things between us that are just irreconcilable, eventually culture gets to a point where people start rioting. Yeah. And sometimes I think it's almost, and I don't want to just read way too much importance into comedy, but sometimes I think it's important for comedy or art or whatever it is to challenge people to ask themselves, do we really need to look at things in such stark black and white good, bad, evil, versus righteousness terms, or is there a chance to just be a little bit human and pull back and laugh together? And as much as people might say that Bill Burr is divisive, I think that challenging the extremes of culture on either side often actually tempers things and leads to a bit more progress than the extremes will offer. So I feel that seeing this on SNL is actually a little bit reassuring to me that, there's still some pockets of culture that can offer that critique and that challenge and just try and ask us, what do we really need to be focused on and what really needs to divide us? And I don't know. I don't think that Bill Burr's shooting that high, but I'd like to think that maybe, some good was accomplished by all this. So we'll leave it there, I guess.